and your vote of confidence. You know, this is no small task that we're talking about taking. You know, I'm excited about all of you being here. I'm excited about the movement I've seen across our neighborhoods and across our city. As I go out and I march down the street and I talk to people and shake hands, I'm excited about it. But I know this is no small task. See, I was raised in the Cabrini Green Projects. It was there with my mom, she's sitting right over there. It was there my mom was a civil rights activist and my dad was a cab driver. My dad ended up getting in a terrible car accident. So my mom was stuck there in Cabrini Green with 7 children and a 6th grade education and trying to figure out how she's going to bring her kids out of the project. She was used to marching around schools and marching down the streets and demanding justice, but all of a sudden, all the weight fell on her shoulders. And I watched her at night weep as she worked, tried to work through her homework. And she tried to get an elementary school diploma, and then eventually a high school diploma. And then she went on and got a college degree. Then she went on and got a job at Cook County Hospital as a respiratory care therapist. And eventually she was assistant supervisor. Then she became the supervisor. And then she became the director of respiratory care at Providence Hospital. In 6 years. In 6 years. She went from having a 6th grade education to the director of respiratory care at Providence Hospital and brought all 7 of her kids out of Cabrini Green. Nobody put that in her hand. Nobody was coming to save us. I remember her weeping when she was sick and said, God, just let me live long enough for my kids to grow up. Because ain't nobody going to take all 7 of my kids. I remember her crying. I remember her walking with a bat because she couldn't even hardly walk after she had her 7th child. I remember that. So I know that nothing comes easy. Ain't nothing coming to us easy. We have to fight. And we have to struggle. And we have to believe that we deserve more and we can have more. And that struggle is inside of me. It's real inside of me. And it's not just my struggle, but it's the struggle of hundreds and thousands of people that I've met over the years as I grew up. Many of you all know by now that I had an addiction problem. But let me make it official, it was not crack. I've never seen crack. I don't know what it looks like. Somebody recently described it to me. But still, I wouldn't know for sure if it was crack. Okay? Just so you know. When my mom was at school in the daytime and working at night, the kids was running around doing their own thing. So we got involved with drugs and alcohol. And at 11 years old, I was already smoking. I was already drinking Wild Irish Rose and Ripple. And I was using marijuana. And my mom worked hard. She said, I got to get you out of these projects and save you. So she got us to the south side of Roseland, where we was a beautiful neighborhood. Parks and grass and trees and man, I mean, and more kids with more money that wasn't smoking marijuana but was using cocaine and heroin. So the people we ran into at that time, it wasn't about marijuana. It was about cocaine and heroin because the kids had more money. So even though my mom tried to save us from that place, we went into even a darker place. Even though they had grass and trees and ice cream parlors and pizza parlors, all that was happening. But you know what? When I realized that I was hooked when I was 19 years old, and I tried to one day to say, you know what? I'm not going to get high today. You know, I'm just going to take a day off. And I found out I couldn't take a day off.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
When I said I'm just going to stop, I'm going to quit. I spent too much money last night. I've gone too far. And I found out I couldn't quit. I couldn't stop. It didn't matter how much money I spent. I could not stop myself from doing what I did. So for 3 long years, I struggled with that drug addiction. And I fought and I tried. And I was working in the steel mills at that time because I left school when I was 16 years old. I was at Figure High School. I dropped out of high school and I went to work in the steel mills. And in the steel mills, I was making just as much money as my mother was making. And in the steel mills. And you know what? there I had even more back on my life. And I remember how hard it was for my mother. I remember how her struggle was. And I said, there's got to be a way out. There's got to be a way out. And so I went around to all my friends first and my mother, and I told everybody I'm hooked on drugs. Because people told me, you just go and tell somebody. You know, that's the first step. I went and told everybody. It didn't mean nothing. I was still hooked the next day. But one day I stumbled into church. I was 21 years old. I stumbled into a church in Inglewood. There was a pastor there. He asked if anybody wants something from God. I was 21. I walked up to the front. I said, I'm a drug addict and I want to be free. He said, is it heroin? I told him, no, it's cocaine. He rolled up his sleeves and showed me tracks up his arms and where he had cut his wrists and tried to kill himself because he did not like the life he was living and did not like the fact that he wasn't doing the things he wanted to do. His life was hopeless. He felt helpless, and he would rather have been dead than to live like that. And he told me, he said, you know what? God delivered me from heroin and a suicidal spirit. And he said, tonight God's going to deliver you. And that very day he prayed for me, and I had a transformative experience. I walked out of there no more needing drugs, no more needing alcohol, no more needing nicotine. I walked out of there free. And I was 21. But it showed me something that there is hope. It doesn't matter how dark it looks. It doesn't matter how dismal it looks. It doesn't matter how hopeless it looks. There's hope because we're human beings and we have a human spirit, and that spirit will rise every single time. And let's say something first. That's why when I found out what was going on with ex-offenders and how that 55% of adult males had felony records. When I found out that over half of our kids were dropping out of school, when I found out that the police had no real respect for our people, and they said, you know what, if they're hopeless, you know, it's nothing we can do for them. They're cycling in and out of prison, and there's no way out for them. But I said the devil is a liar. Because see, I've been there. I've done that. I've seen those places that I don't even want to tell people I saw. So I know that there's a way out from the darkest place. I know there's a way out from the lowest hell because I've been there. I know there's a way out from the jaws of death because I've been there. I looked down the barrel of a gun, and just got set free. I tell you, I broke out of the car and I ran, and it saved my life. The barrel of a gun to my head. And I just broke out of the car, and I ran up to a house, and I put my hand through a plate glass window and unlocked that door and got in. Because you know what? I wasn't down like that. That wasn't my way to go. We got to say we are not down like this. See, they think they already wrote our history. They think they've already written our future. They think they already have told a story about who we are and what we're going to be and how we're going to be in the future. But as I said that day to that, and that guy had that gun in my face, and I said, what do you want? He wouldn't tell me, he just kept hitting me with the gun. I said, what do you want? He just kept hitting me with the gun. And man, I looked out the corner of my eye, saw a car coming out. I opened that car door and ran out of there. Because I said, you know what, you crazy, and I can't give you what you want, so I got to go. I got to go. You got to know that our future is not written. They keep telling us Rahm Emanuel already won the race. I said, when was the election? Because I know I haven't voted yet. But they want to make us think. Oh, you know why he ran? He won. You saw Sister Hudson singing for him. Come on now. She sang for him. So that means he won. All of the newspapers have endorsed him. That means he's won. He's won. But that man has never shown any concern or care for the middle class or poor people ever in his history. And you know what? I'm a researcher. Because I went back to school. And I got an associate's degree in science. I got a bachelor's degree in public administration. I got a master's degree in human services administration. I'm a certified public accountant. I took the CPA exam. And I an original thought yet. They want to dance us all the way to sleep somewhere in the corner so we won't vote. But we got to tell them not so. See, because the struggle has been too hard. The pain has been too deep. We've seen too much. And we know, we realize and recognize that no good thing is coming to us through that source. That we have to carve out our own future. We have to carve out our own future with our own words. We have to tell what the truth is ourselves. We cannot wait for them to tell us what the truth is anymore. Because all their truth ends up being just another lie that's a part of another lie, that's part of another lie, that's part of another lie. And we deserve much better than that. And we can have much better than that. Nobody in their right mind would incarcerate and imprison 55% of the adult males in their race. Who would take over half of the men-child children